I will now call to order the regular City Council meeting of November 27th, 2023. Members of the public are invited to attend in-person meetings in council chambers. Public access to the meeting is also available by telephone by using the call-in numbers posted on the meeting agenda. Meetings are broadcast on Channel 8 for Comcast and Xfinity subscribers and on the city's YouTube channel online. Will the city clerk please call the roll?
Mayor Leidy is absent. Mayor Pro Tem Luke Manjaro-Massa.
Here.
Councilmember Long.
Here.
Councilmember Jaramillo.
Here.
Councilmember Kondo.
Here.
Councilmember Burns.
Here.
Councilmember Goff.
Here.
Councilmember Brown.
Here.
And Councilmember Walker will likely be absent tonight.
Great. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Great. Tonight we have Acting City Manager Jason Loveland. Are there any responses to resident inquiries?
Nothing this evening.
Thank you. Are there any additions or deletions to the agenda? No? Great. Moving on to public invited to be heard. This is an opportunity for public comment on any item not set for public hearing. Statements are limited to 5 minutes per speaker. Statements must be related to city business and limited to matters of community interest. Joanna, is there anyone signed up to speak to council tonight?
Yes, Mayor Pro Tem, there are 4 individuals signed up. And I would like to note for the members in the audience that we did not have a sign-in sheet for the public hearing on the East Lake rezoning out on the table tonight. That is because council may be continuing that hearing. So if they happen to sign up and we call their name, if they're here to talk about the public hearing, they will need to do so at the end of the meeting, once it's been continued. So I'll start with the first individual.
Thank you.
Zach. Don't know how to pronounce. Okay, gotcha. Chris Klein.
Welcome, Chris.
Thank you.
Please state your name and your address or ward and provide your comments to council.
Yes, I'm Chris Klein. I'm at 248 Emory Road. I'm in Ward 3. And I just want to, good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and the council. I just want to first thanks and congratulate Mayor Leidy for her reelection. And I also want to congratulate my own Ward 3 members, Councilmember Kondo and also Councilmember Goff. I really appreciate you guys winning that. I know there was no opposition, but I'm glad you guys won. Mayor Pro Tem, I'm glad you were reelected. So congratulations. And everybody that's still on the council from last year that basically that did the Community Cats TNR ordinance. And that's why I'm here. I just wanted to let you guys know. Welcome to the new members also, by the way. After Northglenn passed this TNR ordinance last year, I actually pursued the other cities of Federal Heights, Brighton, and Thornton. And after the whole year was up here, during the season, everybody got them passed. So thanks, Northglenn, for getting the ball rolling on this. I really appreciate it. And thanks for hearing me out last year on doing the TNR ordinance. For those of you who are new to the council, TNR is basically the process of taking cats, community cats in, most often feral. You get them fixed, vaccinated, and ear tipped, and it's the left flat ear on the ear, and then you return them back to the same location. And then the SNR is actually the shelter doing it from Riverdale. Helps with unadoptable cats. They can return them back to the same location. This is really important because TNR stabilizes the population, prevents breeding. There are also benefits of less spraying, less fighting, less mating behaviors, less chance of spreading diseases on these cats. Before this was passed, animal shelters have very limited options for feral cats. Many perfectly healthy feral cats get euthanized just for being unsocial. A select few endure sitting in a kennel for months and a barn cat list, which is not ideal. And then a lot of the barn cats, when they do finally get adopted, they just run off. So TNR is always best, or SNR after that. And at the last meeting, I believe it was Councilmember Burns asked why there are so many cats. It's not because people let their own cats that are fixed outside. It's because people that don't fix their own cats let them outside, or accidentally get them outside. So fixing cats, that's what happens when, a lot of times when they're in heat, they get outside. A cat can have 2 to 3 litters a year, and then the kittens can actually have their own babies before they're even a year old. So it can become a kitten factory pretty quick. So this is how cat colonies get started and grow very quickly. I want to stress again how packed Riverdale is. I know the chief mentioned last week, our last meeting, that they weren't accepting new cats, which is very true. They are very full all year long, and feral cats make up a lot of this. So with that said, we need to, I was going to ask our, animal control, if they aren't already, to educate citizens on how to do TNR, how, places to go, resources, how to set traps, how to hold the cats overnight, those type of things. And then the SNR process for the animal shelter is a great last resort, saves lives, but it involves the cats having to do the 5-day hold first. And then after that, sometimes by the time they get to surgery, it can take another couple weeks, sometimes get returned back a month later. It's not ideal. Like I say, it's a good last resort, but TNR is much less invasive, doing it on your own. So TNR is done immediately, bring cats in, you return them back the next day. This will save Riverdale so much time and space as well. They take in all the dogs, the cats, the guinea pigs, the rabbits, everything, and it's not a bottomless pit. So last year I offered to help anyone who needs assistance with TNR. I still do. Over the last year alone, I TNR'd 121 cats and also rescued 36 kittens for people in the north suburbs here, and I always save all my paperwork for this. I also do volunteer basis with Animal Rescue the Rockies, who also help support me on this. And I make appointments weekly with Feline Fix and also the Dumb Friends League CSU Spur clinics. And they're up north here, and they're very affordable, easy to get to, so it's a really good resource. And I'd like to address Councilmember Long's concern about the birds last meeting, and I can understand that concern. We all love birds, and I think for some reason people do TNR, they think it's worse for the birds. I can tell you TNR is not causing the more cats, we're just preventing the breeding cycle. Catching and removing cats has been proven to cause a vacuum. All they do is multiply right back because of the quick breeding cycle. It doesn't solve anything, and it puts a burden on the animal shelter when you remove them. So we're just trying to stabilize the population. It prevents them from breeding. Last thing, I know in the ordinance, it's not in there yet. I was just looking at that. I was wondering why it's not in our animal control ordinance yet from last year, especially the definitions and also the TNR concept 14.4.17. Such a good thing. I'm proud of you guys doing it, and it should be shown for the public. And thank you, Chief May, last week for the positive update on the SNR. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
it. Thanks for all you do. Joanna, do we have someone else?
Yep. Next on the list is Tom Lampo.
Mr. Lampo, welcome back.
Thank you.
Oh, I love
Know
the
the drill.
sweatshirt for the day.
The 23-year-old did it many years ago. So, and now I have 2 sweatshirts
That's
from
great.
young ones from her. So, all right. So I hope everybody had an enjoyable time with family and friends over the last couple days. So I'm back here to lift up North
Tom,
Glen.
I'm so sorry. Please provide your name and
You're right.
address
I
and ward.
apologize.
Yes.
I apologize.
No,
I'm
that's-
sorry.
That's no.
Tom
you're
Lampo,
good.
3951 Jackson Way.
Thank
And
you.
I'm sorry.
You're great.
Okay, thank you. I'm here to lift up North Glen in prayer, so please join me. Heavenly Father, in Jesus' victorious name, I want to lift up everyone to you in the city of North Glen. You're God, and no being is greater than you. The psalmist declares your kingship above all others. In Psalm 95:3, when it is written, "For the Lord is the great God, the great King above all gods." You created all. You know the beginning from the end. No being has come to power that you didn't let them have. Nothing stands in your way to deliver the outcome you desire. We can rest in the assurance that nothing escapes you. So we will rest and find peace in Psalm 95:3. For the Lord is the great God, the great King above all gods. We are a diverse group with many different challenges. We view and perceive our world differently. Our life journey is at different places, and there are some 8 billion of us. But you know us all because you created us all. In 1 Peter 2:9 it is written, but you are a chosen people, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, God's special possessions, that you may declare the praise of him who called you out of darkness into his wonderful light. In Psalm 139, 13 through 14, it states, "For you created my inmost being. You knit me together in my mother's womb. I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful. I know that full and well." Out of all creation, humans are, your special possession, fearfully and wonderfully made. You were intentional when you created us. We are created with great reverence and heartfelt interest. We are unique and set apart. No other creation of yours can claim this. But worst of all, we don't know it. We are lost to this world. So, Father, we come before you and open ourselves up to you. Meet us where we are. You created us. You know everything about us. You can meet us where we are. You know what makes us tick. You know every little unique part of us. You know our innermost thoughts, our challenges and hang-ups. You know what our thoughts are of you. So meet us wherever we are, whatever our thoughts are of you. Meet us, because without you we are lost, and this world will devour us. In your precious and victorious name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you very much, and I'm sorry.
Thank you. I hope you had a wonderful Thanksgiving as well. Anyone else?
The last person on the list is Michael Janiga with the public hearing. Got it.
That's it? Okay. Is there anyone on the phone who would like to speak to council? You may press *6 to unmute yourself at this time. I do not see anyone. Is there anyone in the audience who did not have a chance to sign up who would like to speak to council? If so, please come forward, state your name and address or ward, and provide your comments to council at this time. No one. Great. Moving on to communications. Councilmember Burns. Maybe. Uh-oh.
Can you circle back to me?
I can circle back to you. No worries.
Thank you.
Councilmember Brown.
I actually do not have anything tonight, Mayor Pro Tem. Just to remind everybody that Noel Northglenn is this Friday at the Northglenn Rec Center. So make sure you're out there so you can tell Santa what you want for Christmas. And I think that's all I have. Thank you very much.
Great, thank you. Councilmember Jaramillo.
Thank you, Madam Mayor Pro Tem. First and foremost, I wanted to remember the memory of two Northland community members who passed away last time since I've been here. One is Lucille Rivera. She served on the Northland Arts and Humanities Foundation since 2019. And she also was former director of Chalk Gallery, Chicano Humanities Arts Council at the time when I was working alongside her as event coordinator for the organization. So I really got to know Lucille at a very close level. So we lost a great leader in our community. So wanted to keep her memory going, and Northland Arts will be sure to commemorate her vision for visual arts here in Northglenn very soon. So there'll be some dedication for her. And also Annie Nguyen, who is one of my classmates at Northeast Middle School, now the STEM lab, but she worked at Northglenn Barbers for over 10 years. So she always had her chair was always aligned for her. I always admired her creativity as an artist. I've shared a lot of art classes with her, and we're gonna miss her. Gone too soon. Anyway, I also attended the NLC, the National League of Cities in Atlanta, and I attended the Creating Resilient and Healthy Communities, and also the role of data and analysis in building safer communities. And I'm gonna just do a couple quotes from each one. One for the data analysis was, "You can't fix what you can't measure." So we're doing a great job here with our police department and everything, having the quantitative data to back up everything that we're doing to create a safer community here in Northglenn. So we're ahead of the curve. Also, the Good Neighbors helping communities advance housing affordability. It's a tough situation. Everybody's dealing with it around the nation, and really no easy answers. But also, let's see, which one was this? The addressing the root causes of mental health and substance use disorders. Colorado's no different. As we mentioned before, it's a lot of these same situations are happening nationwide, but I really enjoyed this quote by Barbie Robinson. She's the executive director of Harris County in Texas, their health department. She said you have to bring together community resources. Collaboration without integration is fragmentation. So what I really took from that is we have to work together with our counties, with our state, to really create the change that we seek to see here from all the problems that I mentioned earlier nationwide. Need to work with create those relationships with our county commissioners, with our state representatives, with senators, all the way through to help make our community better. From bottom to top, top to bottom, doesn't matter. We can really make a difference here. And I was inspired from that. And that's really another thing I took from that, is just remove the barriers between the state, the county, the city, to the people. So that was inspiring, and I want to just reiterate that. You know, it was a tough week for North Glen the last couple of weeks, and appreciate, you know, people lifting up our community as and being strong together. So thank you.
Well said, Councilmember Jaramillo. Thank you. Councilmember Goff.
Thank you. I don't really have much to report. I spent some time with my family out of state, and my mother, who is 87 years old, was really happy to have all 6 of her children in the one room at the same time for the first time in years. So, but I am glad to be back and working to make North Glen a better place. So that's it.
Welcome back. Councilmember Condo.
Thank you.
Whoa.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I have 3 items and then a public service announcement. Seems like it's starting to become a trend. But like my esteemed colleague here on my right, Councilmember Jaramillo, and yourself, Madam Mayor Pro Tem, we all attended the NLC City Summit in Atlanta. I'm just going to hit some high-level contour themes, major takeaways. The media past president, Victoria Woodwards, who's the mayor of Tacoma, her theme over the last year was people plus partnerships equals possibilities, which in a very simple way, and I think Jay kind of hit on that a little bit, is you have to break down the silos. And a lot of the sessions that I sat in, I just had this epiphany that solving tough problems like youth violence or homelessness, it is so multifactorial, and it's a system of systems sort of problem. And so my key takeaway here is we need to, as a city, continue to outreach and communicate with adjacent cities, with other partners. And, you know, certainly I think we saw a few of the vendors, one of which was Pallet Homes. Both the Mayor Pro Tem and I got a chance to tour actually a pallet home, which is really nice. And so we did debrief with our city manager, and there were some follow-up actions, a couple emails that went out with that. So I do want to thank Councilmember Long for allocating your travel and training budget to allow me to attend, as obviously I was over. But I think it was a great investment, and I want to thank you for that.
Well, I'm hoping so.
Next, I want to talk about Saturday, the Mayor Pro Tem and I attended the Hmong New Year, which is, if you're not familiar with the Hmong culture, they descended from China 4,000 years ago, and they were expelled by the Han Dynasty. They live in the highlands of Vietnam, Cambodia, Laos, and Thailand. I don't know if this is the first time that we've, as a city, were invited or ever participated, but I will tell you it is quite an honor and privilege to have done so. Here in the United States, well, first of all, a little bit of history lesson. During the Vietnam War, the Hmong ethnic group were co-opted by the CIA to help fight the Viet Cong. And unfortunately, when we lost the war, or that, I guess you can call it a police action, but it was a war, the Hmong had nowhere to go. So the United States accepted about 350,000 Hmong people. And Colorado, I think, is the 7th largest state that has this diaspora. So it was quite interesting to spend time with these people. In any case, just for your reference, North Glen has about 3.3% of our population are Asian. So, again, I thought it was really eye-opening to attend. Perhaps Mayor Pro Tem, you might have a few words to say about that. My last thing is, it happened on Sunday, just recent. Walking my dog along the Grant Ditch Greenway, one of the residents who lives up the street, her name is Kira, had found 2 dogs that were running loose. No collar, no identification whatsoever. And of course, it was a very cold weekend. And so she was kind enough to be able to help corral these dogs. And Officer Olson from North Glen Police Department, I don't think our animal control was staffed at that point, but Officer Olson came out and took custody. And all I can say is, as personally a dog owner myself, it's so important to make sure you have identification on your dogs. Right now, they're at Riverdale, thank God. But, please have identification, and please chip your pets, whether it's dog or cats. So important. Lastly, as I go around the neighborhood, I know that our favorite 2 companies that like to tear up yards and install fiber optic, Congruex, I believe it is, and SCI are now working their way south from 112th Place. So if you start to see painted lines and flags in your yard, you didn't ask for it, it's probably those guys, so please do not pull any of those. And that ends my announcements.
Thank you. Councilmember Long.
First off, I want to say thank you to the Ward 4 residents who provided me lots of questions at our Ward 4 meeting. Please have patience, and there's a lot of give and take in our conversations, but I do appreciate your reaching out and sharing with me. Secondly, I want to share that on November 16th, Thursday, there was a meeting of the 112th Ditch Workshop, and Councilmember Brown was there with me, and we entertained a lot of interesting insights directly from the residents. The intention is here to have the Mile High Flood District study the flood issues along East 112th Ditch and roadway between Washington Street and the Fast Tracks rail line. It's a very intriguing historical situation, and I think everybody had the positive intention to try to find solution to all of this. So it was a good exchange of points of view and ideas, and the engineers were there as well as a couple experts representing, I should say, the residents that were impacted so severely on 2 supposedly 100-year floods, one on July 4th and another one on September 14th. So at any rate, it was a good get-together, and I really appreciated the openness that everybody shared. I did some research. I just got back from Seattle for a long Thanksgiving week, and bumped into a researcher who really helped me understand a little bit more about what we're looking at when we talk about net zero. So I should be hopefully developing a white paper or some kind of a statement to that effect, which might counter some of the intentions and observations folks have, but I'm here again to show another point of view on that subject matter. And last but not least, I couldn't help but my other JS members talk about some of the immigration homelessness that we're facing. Denver right now has 28,000 immigrants, and they're asking, what are we going to do for resources to accommodate? And I would ask the very same question here in North Glen as we go forward, but because I cannot help but think, again, just to say it again from this dais, as long as I have the opportunity, it's going to be coming to us as well. I can't help but think that that's going to be taking place. So thank you, and let's keep a watchful eye. That's all I have.
Thank you, Councilmember Long. Okay, so I was also at several events that my fellow council members were at. I did attend the Raising Cane's welcome and ribbon cutting, and I just want to put that out there. If you haven't had a chance, they really do have really great chicken fingers. And it is a great asset in addition to our city. So welcome Raising Cane's, which is off of 120th and Irma, over by Carl's Farm, if you didn't know. On November 15th through the 19th, I was also at the National League of Cities Conference along with my fellow council members. I am on the Public Safety Committee, a federal advocacy committee through the National League of Cities. And so I chose to attend most of the public safety meetings. Some of the workshops that I attended were integrated public safety, developing a holistic response, the role, I'm sorry, this is hard to say, drones as first responders. There's quite a few that I attended. 9 non-tech things to help your municipality keep safe. New visions for the city workforce. Gun violence and mass shootings, trauma-informed care, and other municipal approaches to recovery. And reimagining community safety, taking a collaborative approach. I think the theme was very similar to what my fellow council members already reported out, that collaboration is key between the state, city, federal level. It's extremely important. Another theme that I took away is that the community and our police department and the city all need to work together collaboratively, which we do. We do have our Community Co-Production Policing Advisory Board. But that was one of the things that was emphasized in terms of building an ecosystem between the public and our police department and our city, and also involving the community when we build that ecosystem. So some great takeaways. Drones as first responders was a very, very interesting session. There were a lot of questions, as you can imagine. Apparently, this is what they're saying will be the future of law enforcement. There were a lot of law enforcement agencies who are moving in that direction because of the lack of staffing and filling positions. So they're using drones to help keep officers and residents safe. And I did hear a couple of stories where potential, some really bad things could have happened. For example, a group of teenagers that was reported had a gun. It turns out it was an airsoft gun, and they were able to see that with drones and de-escalate that and save some lives potentially. Also a case where there was a drug dealer, but it was said that he had a gun. It turns out it was a cigarette lighter. So things like that in terms of potentially using drones in the future to keep the community safe. That was very interesting. I also attended the Northglenn Senior Organization meeting on November 20th, and there's a few things they were talking about. They will be adding a new event called the Donut Hole at the Northglenn Senior Center, and that will start in January. I believe it will be the third Thursday of the month at 9:30. I don't know if that's solidified, but that's what was spoken about. And it's just an invitation to gather at the Senior Center for an hour of conversation with donuts, coffee, and hot cocoa. So I know Councilmember Burns had asked a while ago about what activities are available to seniors at the Senior Center, and there are actually a lot. They're also planning a trip to Branson. That is 7 days and 6 nights. So if you're interested in camaraderie and just getting to know other seniors and having a great time, that is available for a while, November 10th through the 16th in 2024. So if you want more information on that, please contact the Senior Center. Good stuff. I also attended the Legislative Policy Committee, and we will be discussing the policy guide later tonight, so I'll go ahead and skip over that. But most of our discussion centered around the special session, the governor's special session, and the following bills that were signed. Just an overview, I'll just give the titles, since we do have a Legislative Committee meeting or dinner coming up in December 12th, so I won't get into too many details, but SB 23-1, which is the 2023 Property Tax Relief Bill, did pass. And that reduces residential assessment rate from 6.765% to 6.7%. And the value exemption is increasing from $50,000 to $55,000 for each residential property. And these changes are for 2023 only. Summer Electronic Benefits Program that allows children in Colorado to participate in a federally funded summer nutrition program, at-risk children. Identical TABOR refund, so for 2023, there will be a flat refund of $847 for each family. Emergency Rental Assistance Grant Program, this bill provides $30 million in rental assistance through DOLA. increased earned income tax credit for 2023. It expands the EITC from 25 to 50% of the federal earned income tax credit. Property tax task force. So this is a new 19-member task force with representatives from local government, statewide organizations, and 2 legislators. All appointments will be made by December 4th, and it requires a final report back to the legislator by March 15th, 24. And then finally, an appropriation for the Department of the Treasury. This appropriation of $88,000 and the general fund will assist the property tax deferral program in the state treasurer's office. So that is it in a nutshell. I also attended the Hmong New Year celebration. That was pretty incredible. Councilmember Kondo reported on that, but it was such an honor to be invited. There were mayors and council members from neighboring cities such as Thornton, Brighton, police chiefs, Westminster. There were police chiefs there as well as other representatives. So it was very encouraging to see, you know, all of these cities supporting our Hmong population. They do contribute a lot culturally and add a lot of diversity to our community. And then the last couple of things are public service announcements as well. I did read that there's a 4-year-old little Northland girl who needs a bone marrow transplant. And I encourage everybody, if you're not on the National Registry of Bone Marrow Donors, to please do. It's a cheek swab, that's all it takes. She is Hispanic, and they're saying that they need more Hispanic population to step up and do, and register for the bone marrow registry because it increases her chances of finding a match. So that is just one thing, since that is a Northland resident here, and she's only 4 years old. I have a 4-year-old granddaughter, so that really touched my heart
I
greatly.
wonder if we couldn't do something here at City Hall, because it's such a simple process to actually collect the information that they need. It's just a swab.
Yeah.
Maybe we could do something, you know, get a hold of an organization or something that would come out here and do it.
Yeah.
They have really good luck getting them from, like I said, Frank did his through Red Rocks.
I
The
think that's a
concert.
great idea. I would totally support that. I don't know if that's something we can look into. Acting City Manager Loveland?
It's, it's something that we can take a look at.
Okay, great. Yeah, that's a great idea. Councilmember Brown.
Thank you.
Yeah. And then the last thing is I'm on the executive board of Ralston House, and giving days are coming up. Tomorrow is a giving day, and then December 5th is also a giving day, and Ralston House helps abused children. So if you can give $5, $25, anything at all, volunteer your time, it's appreciated. And that's all I have. So moving on to City Manager, Acting City Manager Jason Loveland, do you have anything for us?
Sure, I had a couple of things. Councilmember Brown mentioned Noel Northglenn, so I won't repeat that. Councilmember Long provided an update on 112th Ditch, so I won't repeat those items. One item that Mayor Pro Tem brought up was the tax bill that was just signed and the impact that it has as far as the city is concerned. A couple of deadlines have changed. Previously, the final certification from the county assessor was due to the city's December 10th. That deadline has been moved back to January 3rd so that the assessor's offices have an opportunity to plug in, the new values, specifically to the tax exempt piece moving from 15,000 to 55,000. And then secondly, the city would need to submit their certified levies, assessed value levies, December 15th, and that deadline has moved to January 10th. So what that means for the city is as we receive that information from the assessor later than December 10th, it's likely to have a negative impact on property tax revenues to the city. And I don't have an estimate at this time of what that impact will be. We'll follow up on that to see if we can, identify a good estimate before we get the final numbers in from the counties. Weld County did reach out, and their plan is to, provide something by December 15th. I have not heard from Adams County as far as their timing, but it may, I don't know, it may be a little bit later than that. So we'll follow up on that to see if we can, identify a good estimate before we get the final numbers in from the counties. Weld County did reach out, and their plan is to, provide something by December 15th. I have not heard from Adams County as far as their timing, but it may it may require us to come forward and talk to it will become a new agenda item in the next month or so to discuss what those impacts are and how it impacts the budget. So just wanted to mention that as something coming forward based off of
Yeah.
that new.
We can't hear anything back here. I'm sorry. Could you speak up a little bit?
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That was,
That's it.
that was concluding my comments. But just to reiterate, the property tax bill has an impact on city finances. We'll track that over the next 30 days and come back with another agenda item to discuss what that impact is once we receive information from the counties.
Okay, thank you. And I'm actually going to circle back to Councilmember Burns, who was needing to take care of her little baby. So it looks like she's good now. I'm going to give her a chance to speak up before I move on to everybody else. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Yes, thank you all for speaking long enough for me to put her to sleep. She's been a little under the weather today. So first off, I just want to share my condolences to the family.
Uh-oh, we can't hear you. Councilmember Burns? We can't hear you.
I don't think she can hear him.
Don't know how to get her attention.
I could text her.
I did. Just text her.
Ooh, never.
Okay. Councilmember Burns?
I don't think she can.
I don't think, she has a lot to say, too.
Here.
Why do we have an echo? Okay. Councilmember Burns, can you hear me? We could not hear anything that you said.
Yeah, there is a strange.
Yeah, there really is. Do we need a minute?
Did you unmute anything?
I don't think I touched anything.
Councilmember Burns said the audio keeps cutting out for her as well.
Yeah.
Hello?
Wow, there she
Yes,
is.
we can hear you.
Okay, I was saying a beautiful speech this entire time.
Oh,
Apparently y'all
man.
couldn't hear me, so.
Not hear you. Please repeat as needed.
All right, well, thank y'all. You gotta love technology. Okay, first of all, I just want to share my condolences to the family of Lucia Rubio. I know she was a dedicated member of this community. She'll be dearly missed. I am lucky enough to work with her son-in-law outside of city council work. So yeah, just she will be missed. And thank you to everyone who came and spoke in front of city council tonight. I think it just shows how tightly knit our community is and how many people love North Glen as much as we do here on the dais. It just really warms my heart this time of year. So thank y'all. And we did not have a Parks and Rec meeting this month, so nothing to report on that. So hopefully next month. Yeah, thank you. That's it for the second time.
Second time is a charm. Thank you, Councilmember Burns. Moving on to City Clerk Small.
I'm muted here. I can't get to you to raise my hand. I have a point of order. Am I allowed to ask clarifying statement that I heard, but I didn't write it down quick enough because it came so fast? Might I do that?
Yeah,
Not
you're
only
fine.
for the, may I do that? Parliamentarian? Okay.
Says you can.
First of all, the tax rates that you rattled off so quickly, what were those tax rates that changed?
The property tax rate is reduced from, let me find my notes here, 6.765%, I believe, to 6.7%.
Okay? And then Jason made a statement about it's going to have a negative impact on North Glen. So that's going to be something taken up again in a budget revision. or something of this nature? Will that be forthcoming?
Yes, I don't know if it will have an impact, but we'll want to have the conversation with council.
Just for clarification's sake, again, I'm just going to reiterate, we're coming up short on having enough revenues to cover expenses this year. So we're going to the general fund to borrow money from the reserves. I would be probably incumbent on me to share with you that will most likely, though I won't be on the dais, taking more money out of the general fund reserves to shore up the shortfall needed to cover expenses. And again, this is, to quote the mayor, to balance the budget, unquote. Thank you.
Sure, Councilmember Long, and I believe that's what Acting City Manager Jason Loveland was saying, that after the results are, I guess you get more information after December 10th, was it, I believe? We'll also have a discussion in terms of what the impact will be. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, thank you so much. Let's see, City Clerk Small, please.
Thank you, Mayor
How are
Pro Tem.
you?
I'm well. I do not have any updates tonight. Thank you.
And our City Attorney, Corey Hoffman, how are you?
I'm doing well, Madam Mayor Pro Tem, and I do not have anything to report this evening.
Okay, great, thank you so much. Moving into our consent agenda, is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Please open the vote.
The vote is open.
Thank you, please vote.
Councilmember Burns, how do you vote?
Yes.
Thank you. I will close that vote, and the consent agenda passes unanimously.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is a public hearing on CB 2015 East Lake rezone to multifamily RM-2. The applicant has submitted a request to City Council, which is included in the meeting packet, to continue the public hearing on CB 2015 to January 22nd, 2024. Is there a motion to continue the hearing to January 22nd, 2024?
Move to continue as so stated.
Second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion on the motion? No. Joanna, please open the vote.
The vote is open.
Please vote.
Councilmember Burns, how do you vote?
Yes.
Thank you. I will close that vote, and the motion to continue the public hearing on CB 2015 to January 22nd, 2024 passes unanimously.
Thank you. Resolutions, CR 151. Joanna, will you please read the title?
A resolution adopting the rules of order and procedure of the North Glen Planning Commission.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you. We have Brooke Svoboda, Director of Planning and Development, who will give us a summary of the item. Welcome, Brooke.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and Council. The item before you tonight is a resolution considering modifications to the rules and order procedure for the Planning Commission. The commission has not updated their rules of order since January of 2011, which is right after I started here. So basically this is more of a cleanup than anything. We are changing the language to non-gender specific language that's consistent with other aspects of council actions as well as the municipal code. Also, a couple of other house cleaning things, removing the word citizen and replacing it with residents. Also, creating more definitions for special meetings, secretary, voting, and then also clarifying that ex officio members, those appointed by council to the planning commission, are non-voting members and cannot vote. And then lastly, making a motion out of order is yet another one that talks about more procedure about setting agendas and meeting agenda items. So with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Councilmember Long.
No question, just a comment. I was on the planning commission as the ex officio representative, and they voted unanimously. It was a wholehearted support to this resolution. So thank you, Brooke.
Thanks for bringing that. I forgot to mention that.
I don't see any other questions, so.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Joanna, will you please open the vote?
The vote is open.
Please vote.
Councilmember Burns, how do you vote?
Yes.
Thank you. I will close that vote, and CR 151 passes unanimously.
Great. CR 152. Joanna, will you please read the title?
A resolution approving addendum number 1 to the agreement for professional services between the City of North Glen and RDG Planning and Design Incorporated for design services for the E.B. Raines Jr. Memorial Park renovation project.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Great. We have Amanda Peterson, Director of Parks, Recreation, and Culture, who will provide a summary of the item. Hi, Amanda.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and Council. This resolution would approve an addendum to the contract with RDG for the completion of the design work for improvements at E.B. Raines Jr. Memorial Park. We previously had entered into a contract, it was much smaller, with RDG to do a concept level design, which allowed for the pricing on this portion of the contract to be much more aligned with both the intent of the project and the budget available. The project includes the design and development of construction documents for the renovation of 5 different components. So it's the existing renovation of the existing restrooms, of the interior space of the existing restrooms, leaving that exterior standing. Replacement of the access trail on the east side of the park with a fully ADA compliant trail. Replacement of the failing seat wall on the east side of the park with a landscape buffer instead of that wall. The design, the biggest portion of this is the design of the new parks maintenance and storage facility for both parks and events on the east side of the facility, including the new new or additional restroom facilities as council had requested on the east side of the park. And then some additional hardscape that kind of separating the skate park and the trail where we have some unimproved space, a relatively small portion of the project, also over on the east side of the park. So RDG has completed the conceptual phase and is ready to move forward with that construction design phase. We anticipate this portion of the project to be complete early spring, which would allow us to move forward with bid in April and actual construction of the project over the summer months prior to completion of the City Hall project, allowing us to move into that new space right around the same time as we're moving out of this building. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Councilmember Kondo.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, Madam Pro Tem Mayor. So I'm looking at the schematics for the refurb of the existing bathroom as well as the design of the new bathroom combined with the maintenance facility. And I'm just asking myself, I mean, we had an incident where I think somebody had used fentanyl and we had to clean up or mitigate the bathroom area. I'm just wondering, will the design of the new toilet design be, how should I say this, will make it easy for cleanup, should there be future use of drugs in the restrooms, which is very likely?
Yep, so that is direction we've given our design team, is that we need spaces that are vandal resistant, easy to clean, and that they are access to them as we're using things like locking mechanisms, alarm systems, and other deterrents are much more tamper resistant than what we have currently.
Okay, great. I'm glad that's in scope. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilmember Gah.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Amanda, I'm really glad to see this brought for us now. We've talked about this in the past, and so it's exciting to see that it's coming to happen, or going to happen this summer. So thank you for all the work you've done on this.
You're welcome.
Oh, we do have, no, Councilmember.
I'm
Councilmember
sorry,
Long,
I'm
that's
sorry,
okay.
mine is not
No
working.
worries.
I just want to give you accolades for all the resourcing you did on the budget and the funding for this. This is wonderful work. Thank you, Amanda.
Thank
All
you.
too often you hear me on the other side of it. I just want to say it on the positive side. Well done. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Well done. I'm really happy to see this finally happen, and also to hear that there will be some kind of alarm mechanism to kind of make sure nobody stays in there for too long?
Yep, we don't know exactly what that will be yet. That's something we've had multiple conversations with the design team during the concept phase, and as we move through the construction design phase, they will continue to work through what exactly that can look like.
Great, gotcha, thank you. Actually, I do have another hand up, Councilmember Brown.
Hi, Amanda.
Hi.
So I think and it brought up something when Councilmember Kondo was talking, really the cleansing of the rooms when methamphetamine was found in them, and just like up at Safeway, wasn't that more that it's absorbed into the walls too? So I think ventilation, is a really big issue with that. So will this new design phase have ventilation to help protect us from that? Or are we just gonna?
I would say we can't mitigate against everything.
Right.
But some of what we have talked about are making sure that we aren't leaving unsealed block walls, that we have surfaces that can be cleaned, that we have a clear cleaning protocol in place. And then what does that look like if we do have an incident that occurs, so that we have a cleaning protocol that's in place following an incident.
When an incident happens, because I know that all of what happened here and what happened at the Safeway shopping complex and everything all happened at the same time. So is that, does the state come out and inspect buildings like that? Or how did that all happen that they ended up here?
So my understanding, and I see Deputy Chief back here, so if he would like to weigh in at any point, he's more than welcome to do so. My understanding is there's not an established level of acceptable testing level within commercial spaces, that those levels are identified for residential spaces. So there's some challenges in identifying what's an acceptable level. Obviously, a wonderful acceptable level would be 0.
Right.
But identifying that acceptable level in a commercial space is challenging. So that's where we've talked about what does that look like in terms of a cleaning protocol on a regular basis, and just mitigating unwanted substances and a regular cleaning procedure. I know we've had staff doing some research in terms of what breaks down those substances, particularly methamphetamine, and how we can make sure that the proper cleaning materials are being used, so that breakdown is occurring on a regular basis. And then when they're testing, what's an acceptable level, and then how do we test, clean, and then move forward.
So do we have a protocol within the city where we will test it? Or does the state always come out and do that? Or is that something new? I guess I'm
My
trying to.
understanding is it's all a third-party testing agency.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Did you want to add anything to that? I'd say it's probably a bigger conversation than design, but.
Yeah, it really does come down to design primarily though, because it's just materials that are absorptive, that will take in the chemical and maintain it. So it is basically just a cleaning regimen and making sure you get the right systems and materials in place within the facility to maintain it. And when we do have residential places that are eliminated from use or are basically occupancy, rejected for occupancy, it's because of so many of the furnishings and everything in the residence absorb the chemical, and they take in the process, and they can maintain it for a very long period of time. So it really is basically a cleansing process and a material process to make sure that it's easy to clean and something that can't absorb the chemical and maintain it.
Thank you.
Thank you. I don't see any other questions, but I will just put this out there to the public that some of the sessions that I attended, CEPTED was obviously a big conversation, right? Crime prevention through environmental design. So I'm really happy to hear that we are looking at designs to help kind of mitigate some of this, and that it's also a nationwide issue. So this is happening everywhere, and I heard it from multiple cities across the nation. I just want to make sure everybody knows that it's not just a unique thing to Northglenn. It's a sad reality right now. Thank you so much, Amanda.
Thank you.
Joanna, will you please open the vote?
The vote is open.
Please vote.
Councilmember Burns, how do you vote?
Yes.
Thank you. I will close that vote, and CR 152 passes unanimously.
Thank you. CR 154. Joanna, would you please read the title?
A resolution adopting the City of North Glen 2024 Legislative Issues Guide.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Great. We have our acting city manager, Jason Loveland, who will introduce the item for us.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem and council members. As stated, the legislative policy guide is up for your consideration this evening. This is something that the Legislative Policy Committee has been working on for the last few months. One of the reasons it's coming to council is this is going to serve as a policy statement for the city, and it's really used to help guide decisions, that the council makes, and helps guide, county and state officials, in understanding what it is that the city is about and what our areas of focus are. And I will turn it over to the Legislative Policy Committee member here tonight, Mayor Pro Tem, to speak a little bit more about that. Before I do that, I do want to thank the Legislative Policy Committee for their effort, and then also the Communications Department for compiling and preparing the document that you see before you. So, Mayor Pro Tem?
Thank you. So I am the only Legislative Policy Committee member in attendance tonight. It's also Councilmember Walker and our Mayor Leidy are the other two members on the committee. So as our acting city manager, Jason Loveland, already explained, this is something we've been working on for a few months. We use it as a guide when we're discussing upcoming legislation. The legislative session starts January 10th. So we use it as a reference and a guide to make decisions and taking stances for or in opposition or monitor or no stance at all. With that being said, hopefully everybody had a chance to read through it. It reflects our values as a city. So it's, as you can read here, there are 8 strategic plan subcategories. It goes through that and is based off of that. And then, of course, this year we added seniors, which is really nice since it's definitely something that we as a city are advocating for. And I won't go through every single thing in here. As I mentioned, hopefully everybody had a chance to walk through it, but I'm here to answer any questions if anybody has anything. I see Councilmember Kondo does.
Yes, I do. Thank you, Madam Pro Tem. So I think this is really well done. I actually sent an email to you, Jason, so I don't know if you want to address that. But the photo at the very last page has this tall tower in the back. It kind of looks like Lord of the Rings and Sauron. And I'm just thinking to myself, wait, we've been talking about being, sustainable, eco-friendly, and yet I see the Sauron Tower there in that last picture. Is there a different photo, or can we do something that might remove that eyesore to make it a little bit more pleasing?
Are you talking about this?
Yes.
So,
the last page?
Councilmember Kondo, that is actually a cell tower?
Oh, it is?
Yes. But if it's the desire of council to change out the picture.
Well, that's the reason why I brought it. I mean,
That could be-
everything else looks great, right? It all ticks and ties. I like the color scheme and everything. But it just, when you look at the back picture, and the picture says 1,000 words, it's not quite consistent with the theme and messaging of.
So just for everyone who maybe can't see what we're referring to, the caption is Northwest Open Space and Oscar Arnold Nature Area sits adjacent to the city's wastewater treatment plant, seen in the distance behind the trees. So it is an open space, picture of the open space, and in the background, you can see the tower, but the whole point of that was to reference the open space adjacent to the city's wastewater treatment plant. I would love to hear everyone's opinion on whether you feel that should be changed, or So the whole point of this guide is to give to our representatives, right? To
Understand that.
our
I'm
state
not arguing.
representatives, and, I mean, it's a valid question, so if anyone has any objection, please. Councilmember Goff.
the comment I would make is, I know my husband loves to take photographs of especially the Rockies and, nature in Colorado is beautiful. And he's always trying to get pictures without, telephone lines and cars. It's impossible these days. It just absolutely is impossible. So, I mean, especially knowing that that's a cell phone tower, I think it's, but, I would be okay if there was a majority that. I mean, I like the idea of showing the wastewater. I mean, there could be another picture of the wastewater treatment plant, but this does show it, close to our open space.
I personally like it. I mean, I'm fine with leaving it the way it is, because that is what it is, And I think if you guys are ready to go to press on it and you're set to go, I would just let it go. I wouldn't go back. This is my own personal opinion. I wouldn't go back and recreate the wheel. Maybe next year, use a picture of Brook Reservoir or something. But yeah, I wouldn't, if you guys are ready to go to press, I wouldn't let just this one picture deter you from doing that or make any changes. I think that the actual legislator, or leaflet, is very nice. You guys have done a really great job on it again. But yeah, would it be perfect if it wasn't there? Probably. But in the back of my mind, I'm thinking of all the cell towers that we have throughout Northland. And I have 3 right by my house. So, I think it's okay. But I do understand what you're saying, Councilmember Khan.
Maybe it can be photoshopped out.
Well, that's where I was
Just
going.
kidding. It is part of it.
You got the Android Pixel now.
Yeah. Councilmember Long, you want to weigh in?
I'm so sorry, the technology is, anyway, thank you for recognizing me. This last year, in the legislature, we had a governor who challenged the bedrock of who we are as a city, back to 1969. We are a home rule city, and yet there's challenges to our ability to do the zoning if this continues on. And what I'm hearing echoing around the region is that we're going to be looking at Governor Polis's 2.0 in terms of his efforts to control use of land, which comes right back into our home rule city. So I guess I'm asking the question as I refer to this on page 8 of 14 at the very top. We talk about local control, municipal home rule. That's who we are. And I know that was challenged last year, and to the chagrin of many of us, we had a representative who voted against the Northland position and supported the governor. So again, I'm just saying, hopefully we'll stick to our guns with this home rule city statement being made. So that's just observation I'm making. And that's who we are. We're a home rule city. Thank you.
Oh, great, thank you. Councilmember Burns.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Just wanted to check before I start speaking this time. Okay, just to circle back to the image on the back. I think it's fine, and I'm gonna weigh in here as this is like what I do professionally. I understand where you're coming from, Councilmember Kondo, but I do think we're in the orange era, warm tone era towards the back of the pamphlet, and so going with this neutral tone photo in the back makes sense. I totally get the vision there. Photoshopping out the cell tower, I don't want us to lie about what our landscape looks like. That's my only thing. You know what I mean? Because it is there. So from I know not a legal perspective, Corey, but from a marketing legal perspective, I would say let's leave it. And it's also it's who we are. It's North Glen. That's our view. I know a lot of people, their houses back up to the open space and I don't know. I'm thankful for cell service that we have here in North Glen, thanks to those towers. And that's sort of my perspective on it.
Thank you, Councilmember Burns. I actually said that as a joke. I don't think we should Photoshop anything out of it as well. I mean, the picture itself has the background of the Rocky Mountains. It's beautiful, snow-capped mountains. You know, unfortunately, it is a part of it's just a part of where we live, right? But I get it, and I think maybe, you know, maybe next year, as Councilmember Brown said, we choose like Croak Reservoir or something like that. I mean, it's good to note for future pictures, but I would support it staying as is because it is kind of ready for press, and so if no one has any objection to the content or our guidelines, as Councilmember Long pointed out, home rule is absolutely still a big issue for us, and we will continue to maintain our stance to make sure that we maintain local control. So thanks for pointing that out, because that is a main objective moving into the legislative session. So is it a thumbs up from most of us? Thank you, and thank you for pointing that out. We'll look at it next year. Okay, I don't see any more questions. Joanna, will you please open the vote?
The vote is open.
Please vote.
Councilmember Burns, how do you vote?
Yes.
Thank you. I will close that vote, and CR 154 passes unanimously.
CR 155, Joanna, will you please read the title?
A resolution approving addendum number 1 to the agreement for professional services between the City of North Glen and Terracon Consultants Incorporated for materials testing and inspection services for the North Glen City Hall project.
Can I get a motion?
Motion to approve. Oh, I went down.
Second.
Thank you. Brooke is back. Welcome back, Brooke.
Thank you. This resolution tonight is for a change order in the amount of $15,974.38. We're also requesting an additional contingency of 10% on the resolution tonight for $9,029.43 in anticipation that there may be other potential changes to this contract. Materials testing is one of those things that's a little challenging in terms of how to gauge what the budget is. And in this particular instance, the example part of this change order is that the inspection materials testing for the foundation took longer and more days than what was originally anticipated in the budget, as well as there is a peripheral drain system that also requires materials testing that we needed to add to the scope of services. I do want to point out, however, that this contingency is not going to the contractor. It would be discretionary in the event that there is additional change orders that could be reviewed and approved by the city manager rather than having to bring it back before the city council. So with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Wait, let me find my
Does
hand.
anyone have any questions? Councilmember Brown.
So I have a question, obviously. So we know that we have a couple little issues at some other buildings that we have built. Have we done anything like this before for an inspection like this? This is the first
We do materials testing on every
we
project.
do on every project? Okay.
As of late, and we've been talking with Cumming Management Group, who helps us with these projects, this has been a new emerging thing with materials testing that's come up where it's become very difficult to forecast and budget for. So this is not unique to the project. It is something that is a trend that we're seeing in the marketplace for new construction.
I would love to have them inspect anything they need to, you know what I mean?
Anything in it.
Anything and everything, so we're not looking at situations. Okay, thank you, Brooke.
Thank you.
I do not see any more hands, so thank you.
Thank you.
Joanna, please open the vote.
The vote is open.
Please vote.
Councilmember Burns, how do you vote?
Yes.
Thank you. I will close that vote, and CR 155 passes unanimously.
CR 156, Joanna, will you please read the title?
A resolution approving additional contingency funds for the agreement between the City of North Glen and Peak Fencing Incorporated for the E.B. Raines Jr. Memorial Park fence and citywide fence maintenance projects.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you. And we have Amanda back. Welcome back, Amanda.
Thank Thank you. Good evening again, Mayor Pro Tem and Council. This resolution is for an additional contingency request in the amount of $8,000 associated with the fencing projects on Washington Street and the east side of E.B. Rains Park. We originally had a relatively small contingency on this project of just under $5,900. Unfortunately, the contractor did encounter some unanticipated concrete. There was a second layer of concrete under what they could see when we first I had identified the project and came to us with a change order for that removal of about $10,000, which was obviously in excess of what we had identified for the total project. We did have the contractor continue moving forward with work on the project. Typically, we would have them wait while we came to you for authorization. However, with residents' yards open to Washington, we did provide approval for them to continue moving forward with the project to minimize that disruption to our community members. So peak fencing is now finished with the Washington Street project, or portion of the project. In addition, while staff was securing easements for the E.B. Rains segment, we did have one resident who said they would not sign that easement without continued gate to access along in the middle of that section. So to add a locking gate where there's currently just an opening, there's no gate there now, just an opening in that section, is an additional $2,300. So those additional costs, when you add them together, are about $12,300, leaving us with a shortfall of about $6,400. So we've requested a additional contingency of $8,000. That leaves us about $1,575 to work with if we run into any additional unexpected expenses as we work through the removal and then replacement of that section of fence at E.B. Rains. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Looks like we have a couple of questions. Councilmember Kondo.
Thank you, Madam Pro Tem. So this locking gate, self-locking gate, is that going to have any impact in view of the study the SEPTED study that we did? And can you put a little bit more granularity on that? Is it going to lock going into the trail? Is it a one-way check valve going to the trail and not back into the residences, or is it a two-way?
So
Can you expand on that, please?
So it would be a similar gate to what you would see at, say, a residential pool complex where it's an auto shut on it. So it can't be left propped, it can't be left open, so it has a spring hinge on it. The lock mechanism would be on both sides of it, so only that resident with a key would be able to access it. Essentially, this is a residential fence. It sits on the resident's property, which is why we need those easements. It does not sit on city property. So only those residents would have access to that gate.
So in other words, if this is a resident's backyard, they can go through that gate,
Correct.
but nobody else can
It's
come in.
it's along that alleyway that
Yes.
sits between the residential properties and the parkway.
Okay, understand. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilmember Goff.
Thank you. So I'm trying to visualize this. I wish there had been like a map or something, but
Sorry.
We had talked in the past about doing this wrought iron fence or whatever. Is this what we're talking about?
Yes.
So I had thought that was going to be on city property. So now it's on the other side of the little sidewalk, right against the people.
Nope, so that,
Oh, wait,
it's
they're back
exactly
there
where the
now.
chain link fence sits now,
Yeah.
but that
it's
is
different.
on
You're right.
private property.
You're right. So that one resident is the only one that'll have a key to this unless they decide
would-
to share it or something?
We will develop something for a distribution of a key. No one else has requested access to a gate. It sits directly behind that individual resident's home and is on their property.
Yeah, I understand that now, but it's like, because the way it's set up now, anybody walking back there would walk to that gate.
They can
So-
currently,
Yeah.
but it does sit on that individual's
Yeah.
property.
Yeah, got it. So they
So-
do have the power or whatever to request the gate.
Correct.
But in a funny way, because of the way things are set up, it's going to be available to lots of residents or lots of people.
Could potentially be. We
Yeah.
have not had that
Yeah.
request made. There are some other gates that have been added on private property in city-developed fences.
Okay, all right, well, thanks for helping me understand that.
You're welcome.
Councilmember Long?
Good evening, Amanda. Excuse me. I'm looking at the budget time implications, as you might expect. Additional funding in the amount of $8,000 is available in the Capital Projects Fund. This would need to be allocated to this project through a future supplemental appropriation. So right now in the project fund, we've got a contingency that we can move $8,000 into this fund.
Correct.
Is that a correct statement?
Yes.
Thank you.
This action of approving the resolution just wouldn't formally move those dollars. Jason would bring that forward to you in a future
So the money already exists.
allocation.
This is not additional money. This is money that's already in the project fund.
No, it exists in the capital projects
I
fund.
mean, in the capital projects fund.
Correct.
I guess what I'm trying to get at is we're not robbing from Peter to pay Paul here on this, are we? Are we taking away from something else?
It exists in the capital projects fund. It's unallocated and needs to be
Unallocated.
allocated to the
Okay.
project.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. So I have a couple of questions. One is just curiosity. When removing, oh, geez, throwing my pen around. Removing the old fencing and there was all that extra concrete that was found. What year was that fence built, just out of curiosity?
I believe
There's
that
some-
one was 1999.
Okay,
It was 98 or 99.
that's a pretty long time ago. Okay. I was just really curious to know since that was buried there and unknown. And then my other
And
question.
it may have been from the original homeowner fences and may not have been removed when the city fence was installed. We don't know what its origin was.
Oh, gotcha. That was quite a long time ago. The other question I have is, I'm reading here, there's 17 property owners for the EB Rains fence, is that correct? And one so far has requested access, but there's still 7 remaining residents that we don't know. So have they voiced an opinion as to whether they're okay with giving the access on
So
their
no one
easements?
none of the remaining individuals have said they would not move forward with the easement. We are still working on tracking them down and getting those easements signed. Right before, and I apologize, I was out of the office last week for the Thanksgiving holiday. I know staff had sent certified letters to each of those remaining 7 property owners to seek to get response on those easements and has had conversation with at least a couple of them, but I have not heard any further from staff.
Okay.
They've been pretty good, though, about bringing anything to me that if there was an issue or a concern.
Great, great. Just out of curiosity, if more than one, if all, I don't know, 6 more residents, for example, want access, does that change that cost?
It wouldn't change the cost. I would have a conversation with Corey about what those agreements might look like.
Okay. Thank you for the clarification. It looks like Councilmember Goff, did you have an
You
additional?
asked the question, so we're fine.
All right, great. I don't see any other additional questions. Thank you so much, Amanda.
You are welcome.
Joanna, will you please open the vote?
The vote is open.
Please vote.
Councilmember Burns, how do you vote?
Yes.
Thank you. I will close that vote, and CR 156 passes unanimously.
Thank you. We have one discussion item on the agenda, City Hall construction update, and Brooke Svoboda is back with an update. Welcome back for the 3rd time.
Just figured I'd
Busy.
pepper myself across the agenda tonight, so.
Great.
Good evening again. So just giving a quick update here on the City Hall project for November. Let's see here. We are on time, still on budget, and I'll start with that.
I like that.
We have wrapped up the majority of the foundation slab failure, and we are continuing to work through the details on what the outcome of that will be in terms of whether it's a force majeure or some other alternative to that. We'll update you as soon as we get final closure on that. We are also wrapping up the CLT, the cross-laminated timber construction, and they are actually moving forward with starting to get the floorings installed on the 2nd floor, so we're making good headway on there. Also, just want to note that the construction team closed a north portion, another section of the north driveway along the, the south driveway, North Glen Way, on the project just to make more space for the construction of the new aligned North Glen Way. And with that, I'll open it up to any specific questions the council may have.
Councilmember Condo.
Thank you, Madam Pro Tem. So my question, and I always ask this on every update, any major significant injuries or damage to equipment?
No.
Okay, thank you.
We have any other questions? No, it's really coming along. It's really amazing to see as it goes vertical and now a second floor being added. It's pretty incredible. So on time and on budget, those are the words we want to hear. Thank you. Knock on wood.
It's good. And I will say that CLT construction is something to behold, because I've been doing this for 28 years, and that is amazing how quickly that went up and just how seamless it was. It's truly, the modernization of construction techniques is incredible.
Very exciting.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to public invited to be heard. This is an opportunity for public comment. Statements are limited to 3 minutes per speaker. Comments must be related to an item previously addressed by council during the meeting. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak to council at this time? Please come forward, state your name and address or ward, and provide your comments.
And Madam Mayor Pro Tem, if I
Yes.
could briefly for council and for the folks that want to speak to council. So this matter has been reset for a public hearing in January. This council will not be your decision maker. There will be 2 different members. And council can't, those that will be on council in January of 2024 can't consider what they hear tonight, because the decision in January of 2024 will be based on the evidence that's submitted at the hearing that night. So you're welcome to, make comments to council, but please note that any comments made are not evidence that they can consider at the January public hearing.
But they can be repeated.
They can absolutely be repeated, but tonight will not be part of the record, and they can't consider it, and they will be so advised.
Okay.
Thank you, Corey. That's important.
Okay, well, if they can be repeated, then it's no harm to proceed with what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Anyways, my name is Michael Janiga, and it's my address is 12391 Farmview Lane, North Glen, Colorado, 80241. Good evening, council members, city staff, and fellow residents. So, as I just found out earlier today, the vote has been deferred upon the request of Blake Carlson, who is either the owner or representative of Eastlake Land Holdings. And the reason he did that was to have an opportunity to hear any questions or concerns that the residents of the neighborhood have. So I would definitely be interested with hearing what Blake has to say. I know he did reach out to me, but I haven't had the opportunity to get back to him. Biggest concern that I have regarding this rezoning proposal is the lack of clarity as to what the actual plans are and what impact it would have to the natural elements that exist as a result of the waterway and which has contributed to the formation of wetlands, although they're not designated as such. So, yeah, I guess this is where we're at. I'd like to know what, how that impacts, and that's why that's the biggest reason that we as residents are not in favor of it, is because we obviously appreciate the area the way it looks right now. We believe there's value in keeping it the way it is, and we believe that the proposed rezoning, we'd have to assume the worst case scenario that there would be upwards of 1,000 residential units on that 16.7 acre property, and I'd have to assume that the worst case scenario, that if that did occur, that it would have a detrimental impact on the existing natural elements at that site. So that's all I had to say for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else in the audience? Please come forward, state your name and address or ward. Hello.
Hey, how's it going? So I'll preface this with I've never spoken in front of council before, so forgive me if I'm a little
No
shaky.
worries.
But I'm Zachariah Zielinski. My address is 12380 Irma Drive. So I live pretty close to the end of Irma Drive where the proposed rezoning will be. And I understand that this won't be considered for the vote, so I'll come and reword my words and try to say it again in January. But I wanted to say here, I am a little concerned at how this is unfolding. And I would like you guys to take a deeper look at how this has been handled. Originally, when I bought my house, the Carl's Farm Master Plan has proposed that that section of land was going to either be an open space or a park. And I think there's a little bit of a risk of a bait and switch happening here with the proposed rezoning. And I understand that the city, I don't think, owns all of that land, so a lot of it's up in the air and the vote hasn't happened yet. But I do think that, especially with the notices requiring that only people within 300 feet of the rezoning be notified, this could have slipped past and frustrated a lot of people. So personally, I think you guys should take a deeper look, regardless of how my opinions on the rezoning are, right? Those are my own, and they're not the same as thousands of other people that live in North Glen or Carl's Farm. I think you guys should take a deeper look at gathering public feedback and gauging public perception and what people think about it and what should be done before voting on something like this, especially given the fact that there's really a small window of opportunity, and I really didn't realize this until today. There's really a small window of opportunity to be able to have our voices heard, where I have to know when the vote is happening, I have to know to go there, and I wouldn't have known if I wasn't living within 300 feet, and others wouldn't have known if I didn't post it on Facebook. I think there needs to be a better avenue for you guys to consider what the residents of North Glen want out of this. How that happens is, I think, up in the air. I'm not a local government employee. You guys are a lot better at figuring that kind of stuff out than I am, but that's really all I wanted to say. So yeah, I don't know if anything like that could happen before the next vote, but I do want you guys to keep it in mind before January. So, thank you.
Thank you, Zach. Is there anyone else in the audience who would like to come forward and provide comments? Please step forward, say your name, please, and address, or ward.
Aaron Raz, 12375 Farmview Lane, Ward 2. And since I'm here, I figure I might as well speak. It's nice speaking to a council for the first time as a resident. First, I'm going to go a little off script here anyway. It's really nice to see the relationship that you all have with staff in the city and the clear connection that I'm sensing from this council, so it's very refreshing and nice to see. A little background, I'm a procurement manager for a neighboring city. Prior to that, City and County of Denver, and prior to that, I started my government career at the Department of Natural Resources, and after that, the State Attorney General's office. So I do understand the rules that I'm having to follow here. That said, I'm also very deep in understanding the need for housing, the complications we have for affordable housing, the requirements put on you for providing these answers. So it's a very difficult task, and hopefully my neighbors understand that as well as the mass amount of work to deal with the displaced individuals around the state is truly a crisis right now. That said, the area, and if you haven't seen it in person, please visit it over at Carl's Farm, the East Lake decommissioned reservoir there. Feel free to use somebody's roof and kind of look down. It's more than just an open space. Certainly things on the other side of East Lake Avenue that are worth considering. This is just a beautiful habitat. There's owls, there's hawks, there's eagles. It's just an amazing place to maybe look into a conservation easement, something that our community can go. Also, as a disabled veteran, you talk about mental health. It's just a very peaceful, nice place to maintain Colorado and its beauty. I do understand we'll have this conversation again in January, but perhaps our parks team, I believe Amanda, was it? She's here, can look into that and something of what are we risking if we remove that? So For the council that is here and the staff that is here, I just welcome you all to look at that. And again, thank you for the opportunity to speak in front of you today. Have a good night and happy holidays.
Thank you for
Happy
sharing. I
holidays.
think that's important.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate it, Aaron. Is there anyone else in the audience who would like to come forward and speak? Yes? Hello.
Hi,
Please just say your name and your address or ward.
my name is Heidi Dater, 12245 Creamery Street. And I would just like to echo what he said about this council. I come from Thornton.
We're
and
sorry.
I'm not going to say anything else. The unanimous voting tonight, I mean, I don't think Thornton's seen that in a decade, but I really want to talk about what my friends from Carl's Farm have talked about and what an amazing experience it is over in that area that is proposed to be rezoned. My friend Mike, his dad set up a camera, some nature camera, and over the span of a few hours, it pinpointed 40 different kinds of birds. So, you know, that's really important. I think you've all heard the great turkey debacle over there
Oh, I
in East
love
Lake
the
as well.
turkey.
I can hear the turkeys gobbling from my front porch, and I am not within 300 feet. But when I look down that street and see all those old trees and hear those turkeys gobbling, I really am thankful that I chose to live there. And like my friends here, that's what I thought it was gonna be, was an open space or a park and not more high-density residences. So again, I'll repeat my words when it counts, but I just wanted to also invite you to come and check out the birds. It's too late to ride your bike back there, but I go ride my bike back there and just kind of hang out and commune with nature. And I would invite you guys to do the same. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Do we have anyone else who would like to step forward and provide comments? No? Thank you for those of you that were here and decided to come forward. Really appreciate the comments. Is there anyone on the phone who would like to speak to council at this time? We say that, but there is usually no one. So, moving on.
Madam,
Yeah, so this
I just wanted
portion.
to say thank you to their points of view and their willingness to share. It's not always easy to step to that podium and talk. I totally understand that. I want to thank you for your straightforward candor on the subject, and don't let it go. Be there, be at those meetings, bring your friends. It's so important to have your voices, because that's what this is all about. So I want to thank you again for stepping forward like you did. Well done.
I think we absolutely all agree with that. We absolutely appreciate each and every one of you coming forward and stating your comments. All right, I will now entertain a motion to adjourn to executive session pursuant to Section 4.5D of the City of Northland Home Rule Charter for legal consultation and advice regarding PFAS settlements, and 2, pursuant to Section 4.5A of the City Charter for personnel matters regarding council appointee evaluations.
I hereby motion to move to executive session.
Second.
Please open the vote.
The vote is open.
Please vote.
Councilmember Burns, how do you vote?
Yes.
Thank you.
Hold on.
Joanna, I vote yes.
Okay. Alrighty, I will close that vote, and the motion to adjourn to executive session passes unanimously.
We will now adjourn to the executive session.